All right, hi, welcome to our first video. Now you can see today wearing a pretty normal shirt, so you got to give me suggestions on which crazy shirt I can wear tomorrow for our video. All right, I can add some crazy socks. Today my socks are cockatoo socks, and I'm happy to take suggestions of those as well. All right, so today's video we're going to do is about similes. Now, because we've been doing a lot of stuff in writing about show, don't tell, and about trying to create that sense of imagery for the audience to feel, to understand, so they get a good picture in their head, similes are a great way to do that, okay? So what a simile is when you're comparing two things together. So by comparing two things together, you're getting that person who's reading to picture the thing you're talking about and compare it to that other thing to give them a better mental picture, okay? So a simile, I'm going to come back to this, is comparing two things together. How do we know we've used a simile? Well, the way we know we've used a simile is if we usually use these terms like or as, all right? If we're using the words like or as to compare them, not like I like ice cream, that doesn't count, but we'll show you as we go along. So he had a nose like a rhinoceros. That's a pretty horrible description of someone, but that would be what I'm talking about. So we're going to go through some examples and then we might set some work later on to go with this, okay? So the things I've got to, first ones I'm going to try to use this one as, okay? And we're going to try to describe some of these things, okay, with a simile, all right? Some of them might have multiple ones. You might have a different one in mind for what you wanted, but we'll see how we go, okay? So the first one is bread. Okay, thinking about bread, what sort of bread is it? Is it fresh bread? Is it old bread? Let's take it as old bread. So the bread was as hard as a rock. Okay, so obviously it's stale bread. And I guess if you can think about the idea if someone said the bread was very, very old or very, very stale, I can't really get a good idea in my head. But when someone says it's hard as a rock, I have a mental image of someone hitting a piece of bread on the table like a rock. To give you a better mental picture. Second one, sick person. Okay. Sick person, what do we say? There's quite a lot that we always hear. You might hear the terms sick as a dog. Okay, so that's one the person was as sick as a dog. Sick as a dog. You could use a different one. You could say they were so sick, they were as pale. They were pale because they were sick. They were white as a ghost. Great. That's a perfect one to use for a sick person. I get a better idea in my head of how pale that person is. Mr. West. All right, let's see. There's probably about 1,000 we could come up with this one. But let's think of some. We'll go through. Mr. West was as busy as a bee. Does that ring true to you, that I would be that busy? Maybe not. Let's try lazy. Lazy. Lazy as a sloth. I like that one too. Tall. Tall as a giraffe. That's not true. We could go, let's do this one. Mr. West was as wise as an owl. I think that one works. Very, very accurate. The pool. Okay, pool. We're thinking, how do we want to describe the pool? Maybe the pool was really cold. Great. The pool was as cold as ice. That's just better. If you just said the pool was freezing, I can picture it being freezing, but as cold as ice, I have a really good mental picture now. Okay? Now the other side, we're going to use the other type of similes, is the one where we use like. Okay, so let's start with Chris. I think a lot of things come to mind when you think of Chris. Maybe he was very loud. That doesn't sound like Chris. Let's choose he ran. Chris ran like, whoops, that's bad, like a tiger. Okay, so we want to say that Chris ran, and we're going to compare him to something, that he ran like a cheetah. Don't want to say cheetah, he's not that quick. Let's say tiger. All right, let's use Mr. West as well. Okay, Mr. West. Oh, there's a few things. Let's Mr. West cried like a baby. So we're comparing Mr. West to crying like a baby. Those two, Mr. West is really sad. Mr. West cried like a baby. That one gets a better mental picture in my head. What about Lucy? Crazy as a, I don't know. I don't know what the term for crazy is, but we're not going to do that one. Let's say Miss Lucy climbed like a monkey. Lorelei. We've got one about Lorelei in here. Now we know Lorelei's just been to the regional swimming carnival. So Lorelei swam like a fish. You can see there's a common liker running all the way through it. There's also a common really bad handwriting it's running all the way through it. But let's forget that for now. All right, 5, 6W. Oh, I like this one. 5, 6W were crazy like a pack of monkeys. Very accurate. Now these are different from what would be next time when we go through things with metaphors. A little bit different, okay? But at the moment we're just focusing on similes. So a simile is when you're comparing two things. You're taking something that was as old as this, or as fast as this, or as smooth as this, as hard as this. He ran slow like this, those things. So using the words like or as, and you're comparing those two things together. What this does is it gives the reader, the audience, an ability to picture something in their head, okay? And it's really useful, especially when we're doing show, don't tell. If we're doing those show, don't tell, or the 100-word challenge, or any of those things, I need to be adding similes throughout those. That doesn't mean every sentence needs to have them, but if you're describing something, I really would think that similes would be a really useful way of doing that, okay? Now, as I said, this is the first video, so if you think that my head might be cut off, or my volume's too loud, or there's some problem with it, please comment, because I really want to try to make this as useful as possible, okay? Thanks.